I think that the most important single thing is that there is a body of knowledge out there about how to be a good grant maker. And chances are no one's going to show it to you or assign it to you. Chances are you're going to have to be proactive and access it yourself. Of course, with the internet now, it becomes much more practical to do that. But the problem, the great problem with grant making is that it is and has been from the beginning, from 1867, when the first program officer was hired at an American foundation. It has been a sort of a reward for a job well done. You know, you've been a brilliant physician, or you've been a brilliant teacher, or a brilliant president of a university, and you become a grant maker, a president of a foundation, or a program officer or director, and the expectation is that you're wise and you know what to do and you know what the field needs, and you make grants. And you're afraid to say, I don't know what I'm doing, because you don't. And so you fake it. And in fact, I think that should be the theme song for grant makers everywhere. Simon and Garfunkel's I'm Only Faking It, Not Really Making It. And so often the work that grant makers do is not only not good, it's actually harmful, counterproductive. The grant makers who think that if they cook up a plan in great detail and then shop it around to someone, that will solve the problem. Well, that no one owns that plan. No one would die for it. They just simply take the money and oftentimes do what they want to do with it, and give you a report that said everything's good. So it's learning that you're not there to be the sage on the stage, that you are there to be the guide on the side. And I think that's the toughest thing, especially for people who've been used to being in charge. The college presidents frequently make lousy grant makers because they've been used to calling the shots, and they want to be the star of the show. And that's not what your job is as a grant maker. Your job, at best, you're a director, and at worst, you're a critic. But either way, you're not on the stage declaiming. That's someone else's job. I had an opportunity to have a professional study leave, a sabbatical at the Kellogg Foundation in 1999, and I wrote the best book ever written on how to be a grant maker. And I can say that without fear of contradiction, because it was then and remains now the only book that's ever been written on how to be a grant maker. And still sells, by the way, for people who want to know how to do the job. Published in 2000. But after that, I came away thinking, there needs to be not just a book, but there needs to be actual teaching, actual seminar on how to be a grant maker. And when I left the Kellogg Foundation after 15 years in 2001, came to Grand Valley, had the opportunity to get it started. And it is the most interesting combination of a professional seminar group and a sort of a secret club of guerrilla grant makers, because everyone who's there understands that they need to learn, which is not an understanding that often the president of their foundation has, or the vice president to whom they report. They just don't quite buy it. They never had any training, and they turned out fine, right? And at least so they think. So it is sort of a guerrilla group. It's sort of a therapy group too, because people talk about being the only one in their organization who's serious about getting it right. And gosh, it shouldn't be that way. We shouldn't have to have this sort of underground movement to train professionals. But in this weird field of grant making, you have to.